team or whatever?
I feel as though we're capable of doing what we need to do at this point. Really, I think it's been a lot of work put in, a lot of different position groups. We've been having consistency over the last month of who's in the huddle, who's not in the huddle, so it hasn't been as much as just grab and go. Guys are beginning to practice again, so we're beginning to get people to practice. So I think we're getting to the point where we're capable of doing things that we need to do to get the job done. What it looks like, what it end up being, we'll see, but I think we're getting capable of doing those type of things.
How much is Tom's willingness to stand in there this time of year, right? He's always about making it through every game, make it to the next week. He's one of the most durable guys. But when you get to this point, when it's win or go home, he knows and everybody knows that he's got to stand in there and stare down the gun barrel.
Yeah, it's good on good now, right? It's good on good. This is true varsity football, right? True varsity football, and he's been in a lot of these games, right? He's been in a lot of these games. He understands how to be played. So the last of my worries really is Tom. When you get in these moments, it's making sure we're good around him, making sure we're all on the same page. That's what bit us early in the year. It's hard to get people on the same page when you're not practicing and it's a different guy in the huddle every day and it's youth in the huddle. So I think with all the reps, I said early in the year, with all the reps that the young guys will get, hopefully it'll help us as we get to the end of the year. And I think we have benefited from some of those young guys playing a lot of playing time.
In week one, you guys ran the ball well, and you did a lot of it on the perimeter. It seemed like you were trying to make their defense go sideline to sideline. What allowed you guys to be able to have the success to do that, and what allows you to possibly replicate it this week?
Well, health started that. You cut the tape on and you realize we lost Donnie in that game. You're like, man, it started week one, really, right?
Before that in camp with
yeah. Then Stinny, all those things happen right around each other, and you look at the tape and you realize, man, we've been really fighting this thing really from the beginning. So it's good to have a lot of the same guys in the huddle. Obviously, the game plan first time we played them guys, will it be different? We'll see. I'm quite sure they worked on things. They're a different football team. We're a different football team, especially when you get this. I mean, you're really talking, 20 weeks? Really 20-something weeks since the last time we played them guys. That's really an eternity. But you try to take what you can from it and just look and see where both teams are at right now.
On that topic of health, Chris Godwin played in that first game.
But he left too very early.
Yeah, he did. And
Julio
he's
left.
Off the ACL injury and everything like that. So are we looking at a totally different Chris Godwin this second time around playing the Cowboys, just in his progression throughout the year?
Yeah, I think the more he played, the better he was going to get, and it's been 20 weeks since that moment. Like you say, we didn't see a lot of Chris because he went out early. He went out early with the hamstring. That was disappointing. Julio went out. So it's just good to have our guys back. Now, like I say, what that means, we'll see. But it's just good to have those guys back, to see Chris moving at a better pace than he was in week one. That's an exciting thing.
What do you see from their defensive front now, 20 weeks later?
Well, same thing you saw in the beginning, right? You knew they would have guys getting after the quarterback. You just cut the tape on, right? 11 shows up everywhere. It's a hell of a football player. The motor that he has, it's a great football, really one of the great football players in this league. So we'll have that challenge. But it's not just him. They have a lot of guys with their hand in the ground that know what they're doing, and it's very capable and really good at what they do. So we got to prepare for that. That's what we're doing. That's what we'll do this week to get ourselves ready for this good football team. People can say what they want. This is a 12-win football team. So, we only got 8 of them, so we look at anybody above us as, as great football team, so we'll prepare that way.
Tom had mentioned on his podcast this week, this is as healthy as you guys have been all year, and there'll be guys coming back that haven't played for a while. Any surprises in that group?
We'll see. We'll see. Well, this is probably as healthy as we've been really since OTAs. We were banged up in OTAs, so it's good to have our guys out there.
Could Ryan Jensen be one?
I'll let Todd answer that question, but we'll see.
Byron, we've heard the word resiliency used a lot. Just in hearing you talk about getting guys back from injury and stuff, is that a word that you would use also to characterize this year's team?
Man, it didn't feel that way. It just felt like we was fighting every week. It felt like we was fighting every week for a win, and we was in a battle every week. It was none of them came easy this year, the wins or the losses. Nothing was easy for us. sometimes you have years like this in this league, and I think it's good for players and it's good for coaches because I think we all grew. I think our players got better. I think we as coaches got better. We was faced with a lot of situations that we've never been faced with in the past with this group. And I think we got better through it. I think our players got better through it. So sometimes you have these moments, and when you have them, you accept the challenge. You accept the challenge of what you're faced with week in and week out, knowing that nobody knows those challenges, right? Nobody really understands those challenges that you're going through every week. And to be sitting right here as one of the teams that has an opportunity to be in the tournament, I think it's a sign of our players. I think it's a sign of the how good a job our coaches done throughout the year, because this was a different year. This was a different year, to say the least, and to be able to fight through it and still end up in the tournament, it just says what type of players we have and what job I think our coaching staff did, offense, defense, special teams.
You guys have a lot of guys that have been through this. Obviously, you win the Super Bowl, but a lot of good experience in the playoffs. But have you seen over your career that there's guys that this is too big of a moment for, even if it's on the opponent?
No, I don't think it's too big of a moment. I just think when it's a new moment, right? I remember us going to Washington in 2020, and I was telling the staff, my biggest worry is that we've never been here with this group. This group has never been here in these moments where it's a playoff game, and I wish that fans could have been there, and there was no one there. So that made it tougher. But you knew that if we can just get through the initial point that it's a playoff game, because we were youthful then. It was all new to us at the time. Coaches have been through it, but our group as players and coaches, we never been through that together. So I knew that there would be some moment where we're going to have to fight, where we're going to have to face some adversity just on the history of me understanding playoff games. And it was there, right? You watched the Washington game. A lot of things showed up that didn't show up throughout the season, but that's part of the growth. That's part of the things that allowed us to have the opportunity to win that Super Bowl that year. It's going through those moments. Those moments are coming for your team. So when you go through them, you face them, you stand tall through them, and you come out through them, it's always beneficial for your team.
Byron, what is the biggest difference, in your opinion, after being in the league so long, between regular season football and then switching into that playoff mode?
Well, it's different. I mean, that's all I can say. It is different. It moves faster. You can't get nobody ready for it. It's like you say, the Washington. You couldn't explain it to them because they have to see it and go through it themselves. You get the best of the best. Like I said, you get true varsity football playing at its highest level. No one wants to go home this time of year. Everybody's fighting for every play, every yard. Everything is so meaningful. So when you're in those moments, you got to understand the focus that it takes, the preparation that it takes for you to play your best, and that's what we're trying to do now, prepare our best.
Byron, you've always said, Tom's the last person you're going to worry about, right? With all his experience and all his accolades. But by the same token, this year, talk about adversity, right? You had a totally different offensive line. You only ran for less than 80 yards a game. He didn't intend on throwing the most passes in the league again, right?
Yeah.
So what can you? I mean, did he shoulder even more of the load than you would have hoped he had to, just because that's what it required?
Not that he shouldered more of the load. It's just we had to play the way we had to play. We had to play the way we had to play to get to this point, because the ultimate goal was to get here. A lot of teams in that situation wouldn't have been here. I'll say that. We see it every year, right, throughout the NFL. That team just didn't do enough to make it, just didn't do enough to get to this point. I'm proud at the way we responded in those tough moments when nobody knew what was going on. Nobody really knew what was going on. Everybody stood tall in those tough moments. That's what you appreciate about this group when you build something like that. You build something like that when tough times come, everybody's going to stand tall in that moment. And I just got a lot of respect for that. You guys know how I feel about the players here. I just got a lot of respect for this group, the way they handle challenges, right? The way they approach challenges when tough times come. I just got the ultimate respect for that, because I ultimately know that's what gets you to the next level. When you have the type of players and the mindset that we have, that gives us a chance every week.
To that effect, there's teams, and we see it every year, where they are loaded with talent. And for whatever reason, they start to hit some rough moments, and they just can't find their way around it or through it. What's allowed your team to do that? Because, I mean, I'm looking back, at one point, you lost like 5 out of the last 6 games. I think that was the Ravens game. You could have mailed it in then, but your guys kept coming every week, and they weren't going through the motions either.
We were built the right way, though. Everything was built the right way here. And it starts with the players. It starts really with the locker room, the way they approach it, their mindset, how together they are, how close they are, the moments they've already been in. And they are willing they're willing and ability to really accept tough coaching, good coaching, however you want to put it. They accepted it when times were bad, where they easily could have went right or left also, and they stood tall in the moment, which allowed us as coaches to always stand tall. So that's why I love this group. You love this group because whatever situation come our way, we've always faced it and tried to break through it, and I got a lot of respect for that in today's game with the players we have in that huddle.
You joked about the fact that, every week it seems like this team is on TV and always being talked about. And for a little while there, you kind of enjoyed a little bit of a break. But now you're back in the spotlight. You ready for it this time?
Well, it is what it is, right? It's the playoffs. There's only 14 of us here. We've all happy to be here. We don't really care about that. It was just funny. It's just something that you notice throughout the year. We got our mind on something that's bigger than really publicity or what's the talk outside of us, right? We understand that we're one of those. When you're a good football team, you're going to get talked about, good or bad. So we took the good. When the good came our way the last 3 years, we accepted it, right? We accepted it. Like I always tell you guys, we are great winners. We are great winners. We are great winners. We understand that. And we stood tall, and we know how to stand tall in tough moments. So when you have a group like that, you're just appreciative of that.
Tom has brought 3 incredible years since he's come here. You've got to work with him for an amount of time. Have you thought about these could be the last few games that you get to work with him if he decides to?
No, I didn't think about that in 20. I didn't think about that in 21. I am not thinking about that this year. I'm trying to stay focused. We're trying to stay focused and make the main thing the main thing. And right now, we have a really good football team we got to play Monday night that we got to get ready for. We'll worry about that when we need to worry about that. But right now, we need to worry about the Cowboys. It's a good football team we about to play. We got to get ready.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
All right.
Shoot, we have a hype man over here.
Hype man, I'm ready.
Just what can you say?
What do you see in the Cowboys now that you may not have seen in the first week or during the season? It seems as if Dak in particular is turning the ball over a lot. What do you see when you watch that?
Well, they're running the ball good. You see Pollard starting to, come into his own. 88 is starting to rip the league up. You got to know where he's at. A couple of rough weeks from Dak, but, he's coming off an injury. But they got weapons. The line is getting healthy, so it's going to be a big test for us.
Much is being made about the record on grass. 1-4 this year, but dating back to 2017, they've got a losing record. Do you buy into any of that? Do you see a difference with this team on grass versus turf?
It's the first time I'm hearing that, so it makes me feel a little better. But, I'm quite sure the guys are not thinking about that. If it helps us, I'm all for it. But, the weapons and the challenges that we got to face, big challenge for us.
Byron was just telling us, that until you go through it, you can't really fully appreciate just how different postseason football is versus the regular season. And just like him, you went through it as a player. What differences do you notice as a coach and also from when you played of the postseason?
It's special. You hear this league, how different it is from colleges to speed. When you get in the playoffs, it gets even faster. First downs feel like points. And, everybody's standing up and, all our dreams are right there and you only get 60 minutes. But it's a special time. And I'm happy for the young guys that get to experience it. but it's you can't explain it. You just got to go through it and understand how special it is.
We also were just talking to Byron about all the injuries and stuff this year, and I went through and counted the combined games missed by guys, especially in your secondary. And I know that does so much for what they're able to accomplish up front, especially when you don't have Shaq Barrett. Can you just speak to just the challenges you guys have had to deal with when you were missing so many really good players on your back end?
Well, it starts, up top in the organization. When you get those rings, everybody played a role in it. You got to have depth. You got to find free agents. You got to get guys in college late rounds because you're going to need everybody. And until you go through it, you understand it just ain't coach talk. We need everybody in the building. They're going to play a role at some time in the season. And the more depth, chances of winning goes up.
How much does it benefit then having two linebackers with Levante and Devin? Just the consistency, playing every single game, every single snap, doing what they need to do. And they've been out there the whole time, to Jenna's point, where there's been so many other people that have been in and out of the lineup.
Well, when they're healthy, that makes my job easy, I'll tell you that. But you got to be ready. It's one play. Backups, as coaches in this league, you got to make sure the last guy on the roster, he knows what to do. And we call you, we keep you on this team, we expect you to make plays. But you got to keep them guys their attention. You got to keep teaching even the practice squad guys. You never know who's going to play for you on Sunday.
Larry, a lot of people probably watched, a lot of Bucs fans probably watched Dallas's game Sunday, probably were encouraged. What did you make of it?
I don't buy none of that. It's a whole other season. I don't know. From my eyes, we went 17-0. Everybody's 17-0. I don't buy that. And you hear from your family and friends. You hear that, and people on all the talk shows blasting them. I don't pay no mind to that. Those guys are a good team. They're 12-5, and we know what type of game it's going to be Monday night.
Larry, of the guys that were held out on defense on Sunday, Bea, Carlton, Edwards, and Nassib, are all those in play to be back potentially on Monday?
A lot of times you're still in that mode, let the week speak for us, and we'll see by Monday who's up and who's down.
Levante's like 32, right? He's played a long time this year in his career. You played an awful long time. What's the challenge? I know last year you had Liz Frank as he missed the last few games and battled through it, but what's the challenge as you get older, and how has he handled that to not let the level of play slip?
One thing I can speak for myself as a player, when you start getting to the end, that kind of motivates you a little bit, rejuvenates you, because the end is near. Levante, he's a pro. I mean, he still look good. I really judge him how he looks on the practice field. He's still, breaking, getting out his cuts. I call him the screen sniffer. Every time they run a screen, he finds a way to make the play. But he's playing at a high level. Those type of guys, if you're playing that well in your 30s, God truly blessed you.
You guys have a very veteran group that have been through the battles in the playoffs. Have you seen guys during your career, when the playoffs hit, young guys not be able to handle the pressure?
Well, definitely rookies. They didn't hit the rookie wall probably back in November. But if you got a lot of older guys, the main thing is just follow their lead. We set the tone. The veterans on this team, they set the tone. And if you're smart, you're going to pay attention and follow.
Anything else?
Thank you, guys. See you.
Thank you.
Feeling better?
Feeling good.
Oh, good to hear.
Tom talked on his podcast this week that this is as healthy as this team has been all year. You're going to get guys back that haven't been playing. How much is that going to be a boost to you guys for Monday night?
I didn't know Tom had a podcast, but
Every Monday night.
yeah. I mean, we want to be at full strength. I mean, we have a talented team. When we're at full strength, we're tough to beat. So hopefully we can play our best ball come Monday night.
Mike, for years, you didn't get to go to the playoffs, and now this is you played 6 of these in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
So what is playoff football like for you? What is it that is different? What is it that you really enjoy the most about it?
It's a little more intense, but it's the same, really, of a big time, like primetime game. It's kind of the same feel as that. It's just a win or go home mentality, and that brings out the best in players and in teams. So I like being in those type of games.
You remember how you were feeling before your first playoff game? Was it any different, extra butterflies? Or
No, it was no fans in the stands. We played against Washington, and I was coming back from a knee injury, like on the one when I slipped in the end zone against the Falcons. I was just happy to be out there and be playing. And, we won that game. It was a close game. So it was no nerves or anything. It was real quiet in there.
Gosh, that seemed like a miracle, too, that you were able to make it out there for that one, considering the way things looked the week before.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are your impressions of their corners in general? We all know about Diggs, but I mean, just from what you've seen on tape.
I mean, they're down at corner. They got 2 guys injured. There were some solid players. The backup is solid. We're watching more film on him. 26. He's made some plays, but when we're healthy, it doesn't matter who the DBs are. So hopefully we get a lot of cover one. I love that. So yeah, and Diggs is a really good corner as well. So he's matched me 2021 and the first game of the season. He was on me a little bit, but not the whole game.
That Carolina game was such a different game for you guys because all of a sudden that deep ball was back between you and Tom, and it looked like a well-oiled machine. What did that game and those plays do for you and for your offense?
They got us to win. They put me over 1,000 yards. I mean, it was some good plays.
Could you feel a jolt, though, from that?
A jolt. It felt good. It always feels good to get big plays and win.
Can you talk a little bit about just from that week 1 to now where you guys are? What have you guys grown through, experienced, dealt with that you guys can come back ready for them again this time around?
I mean, we're going to be close to full strength, and they're going to be close to full strength. They've had a better season than us so far. That's the regular season. It's over, and now we start off 0-0. So, I mean, it's going to be similar. I hope it's the same outcome, but anything can happen in the playoffs.
What advice would you give to some of the young guys, the rookies like Cade, Rashad, Devin, playing in their first game, like how to deal with the magnitude of this type of situation?
Just tell them the truth. It's a game.
I should know this, but I don't. Were you a Cowboys fan growing up in Texas?
I like the Cowboys, but I was always an Indianapolis Colts fan because Peyton Manning was my favorite, so I always liked players. But, I mean, Dallas, you like the Cowboys, and I loved Emmitt Smith growing up.
Mike, there's teams every year we see it where they're really, really talented, and for whatever reason they hit a couple bumps in the road, and it's like they just can't find a way through it. A lot of folks, I think, in your position would have mailed it in maybe by like week 8. You lost 5 out of 6 games, but this team didn't do that, and you guys found a way through it, and you're in the postseason now. What allowed you to be able to do that as a group?
Just everybody staying together. We stayed together, and we've been through tough times together, so we know how each other responds to moments like that. So, we've been doing it all year. Our division helped us out by, it was a low division this year as far as record, and we just got the job done to punch our ticket.
I mean, is it a character thing? There's a lot of high character guys in there. Is it a genuine love of the game? Because you could have easily showed up to work every week to collect a paycheck, but maybe the heart and the passion isn't there. But you guys had that every week.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to finish the season better, obviously, but we just kept playing hard, and that's what we're paid to do. To play hard and give our best week in, week out, and we did that.
Mike, does it creep into your mind at all, the experience you guys had with Brady, 3 straight years of, winning football, and this could be maybe your final game or final games with him on the field?
I haven't even thought about it, but I'm just happy and privileged that I got the opportunity to play with them, and who knows, it could be even longer than just this season. So just trying to go out there and just play as hard as possible and keep our playoff hopes alive.
Mike, does it help having played the Cowboys earlier this season, and how much are you able to look at film 18 weeks ago, whatever, to help you out in this matchup coming up?
Well, they're a team that's simple. They're a good team, but they're simple. They don't run anything really exotic or defensively and offensively. They're just a really talented team, and they're just going to play straight up and see if you can beat them. So we got to come with our best.
There's a weird stat. They're 1-4 on grass this year. They've had a losing record since 2017 on grass. Is there a difference when you're playing on grass versus turf?
It depends on the grass. I mean, there's been some really bad grass this year. Germany was the worst I've ever played on. Great experience, but the field itself was unbelievably bad, dangerous. But Dallas has really good turf. So there's some teams with good turf. Some stadiums have good grass. I prefer grass myself, but we're playing grass, so hopefully that percentage helps us come Monday.
What about the Germany grass was dangerous? Because I know you heard about like the games in
Oh, it was mud, really.
They had that-
It was mud with like a little bit of grass sticking up. Like you couldn't run routes out there.
Because it was supposed to be better and safer compared to the turf that was rolled out like in the London games and stuff, yeah.
It was, I don't know, it was bad.
Mike, shortly after.
Hopefully they fix that.
Shortly after the season opener, that catch, they had it hanging in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your favorite one? Or?
Favorite catch?
Yeah.
It's a great picture. It's probably one of the best pictures for sure. But a catch, that's not my favorite, no. It's up there, though. It's pretty good.
Which one is your favorite?
I don't know, too many to think about.
Mike, do you think that playing in
is.
Germany, you guys have an edge on that field? Because Seattle is used to playing on turf. Was there an edge there at all?
Our edge against, I don't know. I mean, I like grass, personally, myself. Most players that I know like grass more than turf.
Because that was one of your-
If it's good grass.
One of your best games. I mean, you guys played really well.
Yeah, we ran the ball well, played complimentary football at the end. We kind of like let it slip away a little bit at the end, but that was a good game in Germany.
Anything else? Thanks, Mike.
Thanks
Thanks,
so
Mike.
much.
Thanks, Mike.